Welcome back to Snap Academy. Thank you for joining in for us. This is our third episode now. We are going to get into kind of some snap strategies and whatnot here coming up. But I am your co-host, Sterling.
That's right. And once again, broadcasting live, multiverse wide, I'm your co host, AJ, aka Snap Daddy. Sterling, how's it going, man? How was your week, brother?
The week's actually been pretty decent. It's a little bittersweet for me because honestly, this week is Gen Con. For anybody that doesn't know what that is, it is a big board game convention that goes on in Indianapolis every year. Uh, I went for about 9 years straight, and then kind of COVID hit, and things kind of, put a little speed bump in some stuff. So I'm just waiting until all of that kind of settles down and keep everybody safe and whatnot. But yeah, that's kind of going on right now. So I'm happy for everybody that's out there enjoying, just playing some new board games and learning what's out there because we're all a bunch of nerds that love gaming, right? So
Yeah, man. Hey, it's cool to hear that Gen Con's back going on, with these things, like you're saying, with the pandemic. If certain things are going to survive that, and Gen Con resonates with me because I've been a lifelong Magic fan. So that was one of the first places where Magic started popping up in convention wise, and it's just really good to hear. But I know the feeling, man. It's like I only actually got to go to one like the Magic Fest. That was what they call it now. But it came to my area, and I actually went, and I called in sick to work just to hit it up and stuff. It was so worth it. Looking back on it, man. But I feel you, man. It is bittersweet. Like the Magic 30th anniversary is popping off soon in Vegas, and there's no way I'm going to be able to make that this year. So I'm shooting for the 40th, and I feel you, man. It's bittersweet. It's great to see these things happening, but I just wish I could go.
Right. No, yeah. So that's kind of what my week's been about. Like I've been definitely checking in on like social media and checking out the pictures and whatnot, and just I did make a post about like where I was like I love seeing these pictures, but also there's a side of me that's just like, oh, I wish you would stop gloating. Like I hate you. I hate you right now. So, but no, it's great. It's great. So, as far as Marvel Snap goes, though, we've got some interesting updates, don't we? Do you have the newest tweet for us there, AJ?
Yeah, I can read this here from our everyone's favorite person, Ben Brode. Here it is. Hey everyone. Last week we removed Nexus events from the game. We have another update for you today. Let's just run it back and start over, eh? We're going to give back all the gold y'all spent on Nexus events. Whether you spent 360 or 36,000 gold, we're just going to dump that amount of gold back into your account with this next patch. Additionally, even if you didn't spend any gold, we'll be granting Jane Foster to everyone who doesn't already have her. Brand new accounts will find her in Pool 3. I want to extend my personal thanks for providing your feedback and sticking with us as we continue to improve the game. We have big dreams for the future of Marvel Snap. We want to build a game that can stand the test of time. To do that, we'll be working on fair and fun ways we can add new cards to the game. As we test new monetization features, we'll be keeping in mind that we need to be providing value and creating a player-friendly experience. We don't have all the details quite yet, but we'll be hard at work until we do. That's great.
Oh, wow. So we don't like to really swear on this channel or anything. We try to keep it very PG rated, but holy HE double hockey sticks, that is absolutely amazing, isn't it? Like so basically what I got out of that tweet from them is that they're saying we admit we messed up. These are no good. We're just cutting them. We're not going to try and rehash them. We're not going to try and change how these work. You guys don't like these at all, so we're getting rid of them. And guess what? You invested. We're going to throw it back to you because we're going to throw it back at them too. All of this is going to be like in-game currency, but it is absolutely, it makes the players feel so much better. And like, I have no question about them as a company anymore. Like,
Yeah.
So and everybody gets a Jane Foster. Like here's a Jane Foster. You get a Jane Foster. You get a Jane Foster. Everybody gets a Jane Foster. Like that's great. That's amazing.
So I'm really glad that we're talking about this because you know me, I am someone who I'm a staunch supporter of this game. I love it. I want to be on this. I'm really on the side of the developers. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Something that I thought about though with this is just consider the situation where you're the player and you want to get a whole bunch of these Nexus events because you have Thor and you know that if you get Jane Foster, you can then pull Mjolnir out of your deck, and it's super dope. So what do you got to do? You got to buy these loot boxes, and maybe you don't really care, but you just know you need to get them. So how do you do that? You spend real money to buy gold. All right, so now you bought all your stuff. It ended up good for you. You got to play, whatever. Even though the popular opinion is that things are bad and you don't care, you're being refunded gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
These
Yeah.
people they're not being refunded their money. I feel like at that
Well,
point, as a player, I'd be like, whoa. I would be feeling good up until this refund happened. And I'd be like, hold on. I spent whatever $20 to get all this gold to buy all these Nexus events. And now you're just giving me back the currency. Like, I guess that's cool. Um, uh,
right, my
I'm just a little
so
hesitant on it.
I get where you're coming from. My counter argument to that though is that if you honestly, because it it was pretty obvious from the get-go how bad these loot boxes were. But like you said, you decided you were this player that was like, whatever, I want to spend this money. So I think at that point you had already decided that you have basically invested in this company. That's what you're doing with this money. So yes, you're not getting your actual money back. You are getting, like I mentioned, in-game currency,
Yeah.
but that should still be pretty amazing for even the biggest whales out there. Like, even somebody that literally spent however much you I don't even know what people spent on this. I couldn't imagine a lot because like this literally failed, but if you did spend a lot on it, like you're still getting it back, but that was an investment. That's
Right.
what you do
Right.
anytime you spend money on a digital game like this. You are investing in the company and the enjoyment that you feel you're going to get out of this. So
I, I feel you. So, like the hypothetical situation that I'm talking about, probably few and far between. All right. Well, I'm glad we covered that. I see what you're saying.
yeah, I think overall, I mean, I haven't heard anything bad from any players about this. Like honestly, everybody's like, "Whoa, complete 180," because it was a lot of doom and gloom before. People were really talking just really down on what they thought of the company, but now it's like, whoa, the company's listening. I think that was
Yeah.
the biggest takeaway here is that the company is listening to the player base and they are willing to admit their flaws and they know like they have to make money, and they even mentioned that in the tweet. Like they're going to look into other ways to monetize this game, and I'm fine with that. Like go ahead and monetize the game. You're a free to play player. Like we've gone over that before. You haven't spent any money on this game. I'm spending like little bits here and there. I'll buy the season passes and stuff. And I know you saw my Facebook post about like the I love some of the variants out there, and there's
Hmm.
a Scotty Young Doctor Doom right now that I'm just a little bit shy, so I might throw a little bit money, at that just to get that because I think that's kind of cool. Like that's where I think it's fine to throw money at this game, and that's what's awesome about it. So
Yeah, there are a ton of really cool variants, and they just keep coming out with more. And I think that's really sweet.
yeah, yeah. So all right. So uh that's our biggest news here. I don't think we've had anything else for updates. We're kind of expecting to everybody's going to get their Jane Foster and their gold update here in the next, patch, which should be possibly Tuesday. Maybe a week after that. I'm not 100% sure, but it is coming. So but what are we going to talk about today? We're talking about snap strategies, right?
I snap. I'm snapping right now. I
You're
snap.
you're snap you're snapping.
I snap.
So
Is that right? Is that how you do it? Right when we start, you snap.
right when we start, you know what? And if I don't have the pieces I like, I'm retreating. Have my cube.
Okay. I'm glad we're talking about this because I definitely need some help in this area because I feel like, oh man, I just love snapping on turn one. I'll tell you why, because it's not just like random, right? So I snap on turn one because then I think you're going to get at least two cubes out of it. But then I feel like it's just so punishing. Like you can just get so totally screwed. And I know that you've worked out, you've been testing a lot of strategies and thinking about this, giving this a lot more thought than I have. Not to say that I haven't been like preparing for the show or anything, but let me ask you this. So obviously, snapping when the first location's revealed isn't really the typical strategy. When should I be snapping?
Well, that is a very loaded question. So and honestly, not snapping on one is like it's that's not written as stone. You shouldn't always have these rules in place of like you should never snap on one because honestly, there's like the daily missions where it's like if you win a game with a snap, and honestly, if you snap on one and an opponent retreats, you've accomplished that daily mission, and it's usually easy as just a one snap win. Hards are like two wins off of snaps. So
Nice.
I understand why people do it. There is that to take into account. There's also like locations that will come out because if like what is it, Sinister London that will copy cards and put them at other locations. If you're playing with like a Deadpool or a Sunspot to really just kind of spam the board with these like high powered low cards,
Sure, or like
and like
Okoye, Nakia, even
right, right, yeah,
Scorpion, getting a double trigger
just
on that would be sweet.
yeah, exactly. And I think somebody had posted something about like the like Black Widow with like Green Goblin and some other things. And it's like, yeah, like go ahead so yes, you can snap on those, but also if I'm a player and I see that pop up and you're snapping and I don't have a way to abuse it, I'm retreating. So I think that
Mm.
the thing to take into account, the big thing to take into account is that when you start a game of Marvel Snap, you are always putting up one cube, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So um, that's where you got to decide then, what does my deck want to do? What do I want to do? Are you wanting just wins? Because this game is very unique, whereas most card games, wins is what you're looking for, right? That's
Mm.
your big, and obviously you're looking for wins here too, but snapping adds a lot more to it. So are you looking for your wins or are you looking to gain cubes? And
Right. I
that's
got to create
where
cubes. Exactly.
that's where yeah, that changes a lot of different like thought processes to when to snap, when to retreat, because now yes, you could clearly like, oh, hey, Sinister London popped up and I have a bunch of stuff to abuse it on turn one. I'm going to snap. And like I said, the other opponent goes, okay, take my cube. That's all you were getting anyways. I'm gone.
Right.
Whereas if you could have just goaded them out a little bit, maybe not abused it as much, wait until later on, and then maybe snap on. My favorite, like the turns to really, I think to think about snapping is 3, 4, and 5. Those are kind of where you should really know if your deck is popping off, if you have the cards that you need to either complete your combo or just hit your curves, whatnot. Um, Whereas anything before that is, I think, a little too early, where opponents may possibly retreat. Snapping on 3 and 4, you got your opponent now thinking, hmm, do I have enough? And there's been numerous times where I've been in that situation too. Somebody snaps on me, and I'm just like, oh man, maybe I should retreat here, but I just want to see what happens. And you get
Right. It's
kind of
like, no,
dragged
I
into
can
that
win. I
net.
can
Yeah,
win. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. And it's hard to Honestly, it's hard to go against that where you want to see what happens. But honestly, you should, if you're questioning at any point when an opponent snaps, if you're questioning whether or not you can win, retreat. That's what you should be doing. If you want cubes, you it is best to lose 1 to 2 cubes. Anything more than that, and it is so demoralizing and it is so much harder to climb back up from it.
I feel like there's a lot of poker psychology in this game. If not poker, just general gambling psychology, obviously because it's gambling. But like just to see that it's not to change in your mind that I'm not just trying to win games. It's not about winning games. It doesn't mean anything. Like I need to retreat and preserve and take less losses when I know I'm going to take a loss.
Right. And here's where I think this game is going to get a lot more interesting when we can actually play, like the first stream was I felt very interesting when what Ben Brode streamed. They did first to 10 cubes, and both of them kind of knew each other's deck. Uh, that makes a huge difference when you start playing, and right now, a lot of the times you're paired up randomly based off of mostly off of your collection level, I think, and then your rank. But a lot of the times you can, uh, just keep hitting that play button, and you end up playing the same player 2, 3, 4 times in a row, and
Yeah,
that's where I think the game gets very interesting because after that first game, you're like, oh, okay, well, I don't think you switched up your deck, obviously, because we were both pretty quick on like this,
mm-hmm.
jumping into the queue. So you're like, okay, I know you what you were playing. Now you start playing around that. You start playing differently, and you can snap differently, and it's just. I'm looking forward to yes that tournament. Let's really get to the nitty gritty because then we can't people can't complain about like, oh, this is what I'm seeing all the time. This is what I'm seeing all the time. It's like, okay, so start playing the counter, what are you like?
Right. It would. I'm definitely excited to see something like that as far as like competitive play 1v1. First to 10 cubes. That's awesome. It's like a tug of war kind of. So that's fun, man. But I think that is really just the hardest part of this game is changing your mindset that you don't have to win every game. It's all about just maximizing how much you win and minimizing how much you lose. Because, like you said, the games they're always going to be worth 1 cube no matter what. So if you're going to lose, you're going to lose. It might as well just make it 1 instead of 2, 4, or God forbid 8.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, no, and I've definitely been there before where I've been and here's also the thing where you can like you talked about that whole like poker mindset where it's like are they bluffing, and sometimes where I'm sitting on turn 6 and I'm just like, oh, I really want to snap here because I think I have it, but I don't want to snap because I really want like 2 cubes from you instead of one. And then all of a sudden the opponent snaps and you're like, you just quickly like snap right back because you're like, whoa, okay, whatever, I've got you beat. And then you're
right.
beat out literally by 1 point somewhere. And then you're just like, oh, are you kidding me? So, um, the other thing I think that's kind of fair to talk about here too is like utilizing the time that's allotted for your turns.
Yeah, dude, I was thinking about that just when you were mentioning that because I feel like the longer I take with my turn, the better a decision I make, and I just feel like it always ends up better for me. When I hastily throw stuff down, it's like I'm not doing the math. I'm not thinking about what my opponent's playing. And yeah, dude, just that's one of the other resources that you have is the time on your turn and the undo all actions button. So
Right.
I'm with you on that.
But and that's where it's very important to take your time with that and not to hit the end turn because I've definitely have had numerous times where I just like was tunnel visioned, threw down my cards, hit into turn, and then as I'm sitting there waiting for my opponent, I'm like, whoa, I either played that out wrong or I had a better line of play as I thought about it more, and you can't undo all actions at that point. So
Right.
I really hope that's a function that that will change later on. Like I agree if the opponent locks in and you lock in, you're set. You can't change it then. But as you're sitting there waiting, it's just like snapping. Like you should have that chance. Like as soon as the opponent snaps, you do have that chance to retreat still. So you should still have that chance to undo all those actions. But until then, that's why I think it's really important. Just take your time, slow down. Um, let the thought process happen. Like look at all your lines of play. Think about this turn and the next turn and potentially the turn after. You really want to plan ahead and know what you're going to be doing.
Well, and the no takesy backsies, what you were just mentioning, like I feel like that's actually something that favors skillful players. And I've noticed that as I've been playing more and making a ton of those exact mistakes that you said, where I'm tunnel vision and I throw my stuff down and I'm like, wait a minute, what am I thinking? Or like, why did I overplay to this location? I only needed 15 points there to beat them. I didn't need 21. What am I thinking? So I feel you, man. Like I just feel like that's going to be that's a skill testing moment. Like, do you submit too early? Have you ended your turn too early? Did you really give it all the thought that you could? And I think that that's something that experienced players are going to have a leg up on over newer, more twitchy players like me, snapping on turn one. I'm getting there, dude. I'm getting there.
No, no, I get where you're coming from too. I do understand that. So I yeah, I can see what you mean about that.
Yeah, for sure. One more thing I wanted to mention here. You had in the notes, don't ever snap on turn 6. So
What? Okay, so with a caveat of if you're obviously winning. Like, haven't you ever been in that situation where, like, comes to turn 6, you're already winning 2 locations. You know that whatever you throw down is going to be an obvious win, and you're just like snap, and then the opponent retreats.
right. So instead of getting
So
4, you get 2.
yeah, well, no, instead of getting the 2, you get 1 because they
Right,
haven't
right.
snapped yet. Yeah,
Gotcha,
if this is
gotcha.
one of those things, yeah, where and this happens to me numerous times where you forget kind of to snap. You're not
Yeah.
kind of thinking about it. You're just like playing the game. You're like, I just gotta win these locations, and you're on like turn 6, and you're like, wait a second, I have this one, it's snap. And like I said, then the opponent retreats because they're like, yeah, you have it won. Whereas if you didn't snap, maybe they would have stuck it out. Maybe they would have been just gracious and been like, yeah, let's see how this plays out. Like you might still have it anyways, but that's 1 extra cube. So again, back to that win versus cubes, like that's where you don't snap when it's obvious.
Gotcha. You want to keep in mind, well, what I'm hearing from this is you want to keep in mind what your opponent potentially, what their reaction to your snap might be. And you don't want to lose out on what you already got and potentially could get by showing too much of your hand by saying that you're doing super well. I mean, I wonder down the line if there's going to be times where you want to do that because you're going to bluff your opponent or something. I don't
Well,
know.
no, and I think I actually mentioned this before too. If you have a board set up where let's just say you have, I think we talked about the Hella style decks where you play an Invisible Woman, and then you throw down a bunch of your discard stuff under Invisible Woman. She doesn't reveal until the end of the game, and Hella is your last one that you put there so that she's not discarded. So
If you don't have
knowing
all the pieces for that to
right
pop off, you can still
if you're
snap.
not if you don't actually have that, and you threw down your Invisible Woman, but you're kind of bluffing like, oh, I'm just throwing down, like I don't actually have anything great, but if anybody sees an invisible woman and you throwing a bunch of stuff down, that's if you don't have a way around knowing that's a potential like discard hella, retreat.
Mhm.
Like knowing that and bluffing that is kind of a, a big deal.
Interesting. Whew, yeah, there's so many layers to this game, and it's really only been in beta for not too long. So we keep uncovering different layers to this, and I feel like really the players who are hitting the infinite, they have already flipped that switch in their brain where the goal of the game is to collect cubes, and
Yeah, and
retreating is just part of it.
it kind of makes me like it realizes makes me realize the type of player I am because I'm like, whoa, dude, yeah, because I've seen so many, posts and whatnot about like, oh, I reached infinite with this pool one deck, pool one and two deck, like no pool three cards. And I'm just like, okay, well, I've been playing this since like literally day one, and like I'm not getting there, and that's because like I do have my problems with like snapping and like hastily snapping, and then also like I I even realized today I really wanted to push forward today because I had some free time, but like I don't play the same deck for more than 3 to 5 games. I don't like to play the game for more than an hour tops. And that's just the type of player I am. I'll come back to it after, taking a little break. Like I might take a, 20-minute break or something like that and then come back and play, for another 3 to 5 games or whatnot. But like I'm not that player that can sit down and play for 8 hours straight. That's just not me.
Absolutely. And that is definitely a good thing to point out. If you're a casual player and you're trying to get it done and you see somebody we mentioned I mentioned in the pre-show convo, and if you're in the Facebook group for Marvel Snap, you might see some conversation. Havatite is a big time player, one of the top 10 players in the world at the time of the screenshot I took. And uh, what this he had the leaderboard, and on the leaderboard of the top 10, I think about half of them had less than 1,500 collector level. So that means that they're handling this with probably at most half of the pool three cards,
Right.
if that.
Right. Yep. Well, and that's a thing to note. Like we've also seen some, and I think this might be a pretty interesting kind of segue into a different topic about like how do you think they have handled nerfs and buffs in this game so far? Do you think they have done well? Do you think there's anything else to kind of like keep your eye out for? And because I know we have seen some people recently bring up some just concerns. So what do you think?
For me, I think I don't have much anything really glaring. The one card that I kind of feel that there's two cards actually on my list. The first one, my personal one that I just kind of feels a little weird, Dracula, just kind of feels like there's no counterplay. There's no way to stop it from happening because it happens at the end of the game.
Right.
So
So like, yeah,
yeah,
it's even if you play like a Shang-Chi, and they copy the Infinite, the Infinite is still it doesn't happen until after, even with priority, it won't happen until after all of that's said and done.
yeah, and I think the discard deck is really strong anyway. So just seeing that is kind of weird. The other one that I I just feel like I just don't like it. Uh, Black Widow, man, Black Widow's just like super hurtful.
I don't know. I guess if you get if they get lucky on their locations and like we talked about being able to spam certain locations with some of those cards, I can see that. I've also had games where like yeah, somebody has played Black Widow against me, and if I'm playing like the destruction deck, like I don't care. That's just too power for Carnage, I guess kind of thing.
Okay, yeah,
So
sure, that
um
makes sense.
but I do play destruction a lot. I love my Deadpool deck right now. So that it, and again back to like knowing, later on when we start playing more kind of tournament style and stuff, knowing what a player likes to play and stuff, and just so That's where I maybe I haven't had the same view you have of Black Widow because I've been able to kind of counter it better. But I don't know, that honestly hasn't like made me like look at it twice or anything, going like, oh, this is a little off. I
Yeah, I mean
don't
it's such a
like.
weak card, Black Widow
Yeah, but
herself.
I mean, honestly, like the feel bad deck right now I feel is like the Black Widow into the Green Goblin into like Spider-Man into Professor X, just those like lockdown, you don't get to actually play the game. That's usually my style of play, but it does feel bad in this kind of game as well. Because I was always a blue player in Magic. Islands I think are the most powerful card in Magic, but
It's true. It's true. And I agree, man. I love countering spells, but I will also agree that getting your spells countered sucks. So
yes,
I'm
yeah.
with that. I'm with you on that. Now, some peeps, two people in the Facebook group mentioned that they want to see Wong get nerfed. Um, if this happens, I could see him going to cost 5 to kind of like limit the shenanigans that can
Uh,
go on.
Maybe. I mean, I don't. I think that will honestly be just a huge nerf to him. I don't see the deck popping off as well. And right now, the deck, like when people talk about the Wong deck, like it's Wong Mystique, typically Onslaught, and you're looking to just pop off with like Ironheart, throw down a ton of power on the board, or Gambit, destroy all their stuff, Hazmat, make all their stuff like weak. But the thing is, the deck needs setup. It doesn't come out of nowhere. You know it's coming. So,
Right.
uh,
There's
I,
so much counterplay. That's kind of, I was playing Wong in a Spectrum deck, and I just kind of got a little frustrated with it because you end up playing a bunch of like junky cards for the ongoing deck. Although I haven't gone like the hardcore Gambit Ironheart. That sounds pretty sweet, actually. Maybe I will take a look at that. But I mean, if people think that it's so powerful it needs to be nerfed, maybe I should get after it. But dude, I wanted to mention this because the deck that I've been playing lately, I've been kind of getting back to my roots, which was like just making my own rogue decks. And I've been moving up. I mean, granted, I'm only like level 53, but I've been moving up because I'm just playing, especially. I do play Professor X because I think that it's a very sweet card, and if you're playing it the right way, you can really steal a game. And I steal
yeah,
a lot of games with Professor X.
I,
Um,
I and I feel he is a high roll card. I have lost numerous games to a Professor X being well played, but I've also won numerous games where they just I don't know.
you can
Either
play it.
I
You
read
can
it
punt.
too well, or they played it
Mhm.
too, obvious, or it's just I feel it is a high risk, high reward kind of card.
Yeah, you can definitely punt if you choose wrong. Then it's like hopefully you didn't snap on turn one.
Nice.
But yeah, just to get back to what I was saying though, like if you are the listener and you're like us, casual players with aspirations, maybe think. I think that there's two routes for deck building. There's building the meta decks and doing the things where you're popping off, doing combos, or building some sort of rogue deck that people have no information on that you perfect your game plan with and you execute it. I think it's totally doable. I think something that I just need to get my head around is the snapping and staying disciplined with I mean, man, if you ever see me at a meat raffle, bro, I try to be disciplined, but man, they come around with those $5 tickets and they got the ribs. It's like, oh, okay, let me get those, man, and then I gotta go get more money. So it's tough. It can be really hard to play the game if you love gambling.
Right, right. No, and that's where like I honestly never got, big into gambling or poker or anything like that, but I can really see the like psychological kind of side to how this game works and how it is very addicting going like, oh, I just want to see how it plays out. I just want to see how it plays out. And it's just I can imagine that's the same at any kind of like card table or slot machine or anything like that where you're like, I should just walk away right now, just walk away. No, one more. And
Right.
that's kind of how it comes down to when an opponent snaps on you. You're just like, oh, okay, one more. You got me. Let's see how it goes.
Right.
Um,
Well, but would like a top poker player have a bad hand and keep it? Like, I mean, come on. You know, I mean, like maybe, in certain situations when it comes to locations, which I think will be something that we'll get to next time. But I just, man, I can't see a really top level poker player keeping a bad hand because they want to see how it plays out, because they want the
no,
excitement, and that's what Marble Snap is
that
like, so much cooler than poker. I want to see it play out.
right, right. No, and I hope, and I know other players have mentioned this, that they're looking for a function where you just want to be like, yeah, I bow out here, but I want to see what would happen if we played it out, like kind of thing where you can retreat but not fully retreat. Uh,
Yeah,
that'd be
or maybe
fun,
like
but I
a,
also get
yeah.
where like it's fun to just be like, do you really know? Like maybe I was bluffing. Maybe I don't want you to play it out. So, um,
Yeah,
another
we could
thing I kind
also,
of want
yeah,
to bring up to you here just real quick
sure.
is because we're kind of talking about snapping and how, you know, stuff like that. What do you think like an etiquette is for snapping? Do you think there is an etiquette? Do you think like trying to so kind of the big thing I'm thinking about here is those players that like to emote spam, where they're either like constantly hello throughout the game or one of the most annoying ones to me is like I will snap on like 3 or 4 and then on turn like 6 they think they have it there and they're like spamming the snap question mark emote and I'm just like, dude, I already snapped. Why don't you snap? Like,
Right.
um, does that tilt you at all? Does that affect your gameplay? Do you think like I know there's the mute function, and I honestly use that a lot. Like, if if a player isn't just like hello and just like being like real cordial with their emotes, uh, if you're doing anything beyond that, I'm muting you.
Well,
So, what do
right.
you do? How does that affect you?
I do use the mute button frequently, but I think it's interesting to talk about because when I play Magic Arena, they have emotes, and I've made it clear that I drop the good game on people to try and get them to tilt and just concede. Because sometimes it doesn't really matter, but Magic is different because I'm playing to win the game, so I'm going to play this game to the end
Right.
no matter what. Marvel Snap, I don't know, man. I really don't. I only will start spamming emotes if my opponent has been spamming emotes, but recently I've been using a lot of the mute button, so it doesn't even get to that point. Or like once someone starts spamming, I mute them, and then if I end up winning, then I start spamming them, which I don't know if that's good. Is that like a good thing?
Right,
I don't think
right.
that's good.
No, I've definitely been there before. I've done the same thing. But I've also like you said before, maybe on turn 6, I have snapped already, so we're looking at 2 to 4 cubes on the line, and I'll just be like, oh, I'm losing, good game, whatever our emotes are for that, so
I wish there
that
was a good game or like a
yeah.
well
No,
played, because there have been
yeah,
times where I
there's
wanted to legit say,
the thumbs
yeah,
up, which yeah,
no, I
sometimes
think thumbs
people
up is like,
abuse that.
no, yeah,
Yeah,
no, no,
yeah,
no.
I don't really care for that. So, it would be nice to have other ways. I don't know if you've played Legends of Runeterra, but I do like how they have like little like sticker emotes where you can show like some of the heroes that you can play will do like a little kissy face or something like that, or
I've seen
it's
that in
just
Clash Royale. Yeah, yeah, those are kind of cool.
so yeah. Uh, which is again, players though can abuse that, and it's just I do love that we have the mute function. I do like that they actually implemented that pretty early in the game, but I, I do feel like especially in this game, like that to me, emote spamming in this kind of game is the same like in a poker game of you just being like a jerk. Like just
Right.
are you really gonna just be a jerk to somebody in their face? And I know there have been some top players that have kind of taken that route before, but they don't stay top player very long.
Yeah, and that just kind of goes against the spirit. My moral, like my ethos for etiquette does come from Magic the Gathering. So like, if you make a mistake, you got to self-report to the judge. Like you got to really like make sure that if your opponent misses something that they're supposed to, although I think they've changed it recently, but back in the day, if your opponent missed something, you had to point it out for them if you knew it that they missed
Right.
something.
Yes. Yeah. Because
But
that
yeah.
you couldn't then call later on and be like, hey, they did this. It's like, well, you knew that they were doing this. So yeah. Nope.
Right, exactly. So my whole etiquette comes from the real gentlemanly, cordial way I think Magic the Gathering should be played, with a lot of politeness to the point where you don't even say like "good game" at the end. You like what are you supposed to say? Oh yeah, you're supposed to say "good luck in the next round" or
Right.
something, or like
Yeah. No. And
hope you have a nice day or something.
yeah. Yeah. No. And I do remember it was a different game I was playing one time, but I really slaughtered an opponent, and at the end, I went and shook their hand, and I was like, "Good game," and they're like, "Not really," and I was like, "Oh man, I feel bad because like I didn't mean like you played the best you could. I understood, but like,
Yeah,
yeah,
like fair play. What like
yeah,
whatever.
exactly, and that's what I want to try and promote in this kind of game. I want to, and in any kind of game, like I want to always know that my win was based off of my skill, not just because you tilted a little bit because I got you on edge. That I feel that's just a cheesy way to win.
Sure. Yeah, I feel that. I like that. And it would be very interesting to see people play this on a super competitive level where they're sitting face to face with devices in front of them, and really, see how those personalities pan out. And, like we were saying with the update earlier, that I think that there's a bright future for this game. And starting with from a position of taking the high road and having good etiquette is a really great practice to get into, because you never know. We might have more things where they have really big time streamers play against each other and they do like joint streams, or who knows. I don't know how that all works. I'm real
Right.
game, no edits over here. But man, I definitely think that there's something to be said for uh, being a cordial player and playing as a gentle person.
No, honestly, and yeah, here at Snap Academy, I want us to, we're trying to promote a very fun environment. We want, I want to see everybody succeed, and I want to learn. Like, that's what I want to take away from every game I play, no matter what the game is, but especially, a game I invest a lot of time in, like Marvel Snap here. I want to learn from it. Like, and if my opponent outplayed me somehow, like, I don't want to look down on them for it. I want to congratulate them and go, okay, how did you outplay me? Like, what was because there's been a few times where I'm like, I see something happen and I'm like, oh, why'd you play that there? And then the next turn, I'm just like, oh, and you did that? And I'm just like constantly like, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden, turn 6, I'm losing 8 cubes. And I'm like, oh, well, I got
That's what
something to
they were
learn out
doing.
of this game.
Yes.
So,
Yes, dude, and that's what it is. That's how, if you're trying to get better, every loss needs to be a learning experience, and you only have to do something so many times for you to eventually learn. Okay, I need to change that behavior. I need to focus more on playing something differently, and that's what we're trying to do here at Snap Academy, because we're learning together and we're helping, hopefully helping the community learn. And as the listener, I hope you want to drop some comments. We're on YouTube, also on Spotify and Anchor. I don't think Spotify and Anchor have comments though, right?
no, I don't think so. And I think they're basically the same thing. Anchor is set up to automatically. This will always be posted to Spotify. I am trying to get us on Apple as well. I am not an Apple user, and I just can't stand their process for things sometimes. So I get frustrated with them pretty easily. But we will eventually be on Apple as well. And like you said, we're on YouTube. We're gonna get set up with Twitter at some point just to be on there. We do have an email though. What was it? marvelsnapacademy at gmail.com. So
That's right.
that's a way of getting a hold of us, and we are both on the Facebook group, the uh, non-official, Marvel Snap group. I think how many people are we sitting with in that group right now? I think we're somewhere over 1,000.
Yeah, man, it's been nice to watch it grow. I'm also a member of the Philippines group. There are a lot of cool players in there. I would suggest checking that out. And there's an Australia group that just started. So if you're a player in Australia, check that out. I mean, ultimately, it all kind of filters down to the main one, the Marvel Snap group, and you can hit us up on Facebook, or like I was saying on YouTube. Drop us a comment if you hear what we're saying, you're thinking, man, why didn't they talk about this like in the last episode when we didn't mention the collector and the devil dinosaur deck? Like, come on,
Yeah,
drop us a comment
right.
there. And we really are trying to build the community. And I don't have a whole ton of time, especially these days, with a newborn. But we've been doing the creator spotlight. Now, this is great for you if you're the listener and you don't have a lot of time like me, and you're trying to figure out what should I be watching? Because I feel like the internet has so much out there. You just kind of need to know what to look for. So we've got a current creator spotlight with TLSG. Sterling, can you tell me more about
Yeah.
TLSG?
So yeah, I have hit him up. He has been he's been somebody I've been following on YouTube since he actually kind of started the channel. I'm pretty sure I joined and subscribed to his channel back when he was like less than 100 viewers. And it's been really fun watching him grow. It's just a really fun channel. He's a great guy. He likes to open, once he gets a new card, that's where he'll kind of build a deck around that, and that's what his next, next episode, or that episode he's doing is going to be about. And it's just kind of fun to see his thought process. He kind of goes through it. Sometimes decks don't work out, and he'll even talk about like, what he was just thinking. So yeah, we are going to get a little bit more information from him. I am sending, just a little questionnaire like we have done with some other creator spotlights, but like just, hopefully by the time you guys are listening to this, that will be up. And if it's not, just definitely look him up on YouTube. He's a great guy, and I think the last time I watched him, he might be over this, but I think he was just under 2,000 viewers. So if this kind of reaches out to a bunch of people, it'd be nice to just let's push him up. Let's see him grow. Like I said, this is all about a community. We want to see everybody grow. So it's great to have somebody like that, and just a shout out to everybody else that are content creators. We're here for everybody. We don't care how big or small you are. If you're putting some content out and you need to get your voice heard, hit us up. We'll do a little spotlight on you, and we'll let the community know.
Yeah, and I gotta check out TLSG, and I'll make sure to put the link to his channel in the description of the YouTube video for anybody listening there. It's great, and that's why I started getting into content creation myself. You all know that I am Snap Daddy, but also I am Magic Dad on YouTube, and I feel like even though I'm not the greatest player, there's always somebody I think that can benefit from getting more eyes on games. And I always felt like when I was I'm a stay-at-home dad now, but when I was working back in the day, and a new Magic set would come out, and I knew that I was going to have some time later in the evening to draft it online, or maybe I was doing the pre-release, I would watch a ton of other content creators, just watching these videos, sometimes just watching the drafts, just taking the pieces of information that mattered to me and helped me. And even if I didn't see how the games played out, I could still see different thought processes. So that's what we're trying to do here, especially with the creator spotlight, just really trying to get more eyes on more people, because that's just going to make all of us collectively better, because we're going to get inside other players' heads. And maybe from a video, you might watch it and say, okay, well, I know all this, but maybe there'll be that one kernel of information that puts you over the edge, and you learn more. Or worst case scenario, you just enjoy the content, and that's
Yep.
half the fun
Yep.
of it anyway.
No, and honestly, that's where I have my list of the creators that I prefer watching. Like I'll watch everybody at least a few different times or check back in on you, but I do really prefer more entertainment when I come to my uh content type stuff. And I know a lot of other players are looking more for super strategic and top level type play type stuff, which and that's what's great about this day and age we're in right now and how content creation works. Like there is plenty of both of that out there. So that's where we're wanting everybody to get their little 5 minutes of fame, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. And building up the community, helping each other, making, I'll subscribe to your channel, you subscribe to my channel, just building everybody up. And it's been great so far, man. I've been having a wonderful time doing this podcast, and I've been having a ton of fun in that Facebook group as well, connecting with the players, learning what other people have to say about the game, coming across different perspectives that, for me, it's like I only play a certain deck. If you only play a few decks, you don't really know what's out there until you see somebody share something or a screenshot, and you're like, wow, that really blew my mind right there. I didn't even know that you could do that. So I
Yeah.
think that things have
Yep.
been, it's just the sky's the limit, man. And as hit us up on Facebook, hit us up by the email, again, marvelsnapacademy@gmail.com, or drop us a comment on YouTube. And we'll definitely, if you're a content creator, we'll get you out there. We'll give you the creator spotlight. And I don't know, maybe we'll have some people on as guests. That sounds cool.
I mean, that would be awesome to set up aspirations, though, of course, because I know that is a whole nother level of trying to plan and get around and stuff. And that's why I love you as a co-host. We have pretty much figured out what works best for us. But yes, I would love to have some guests on this show, so just to get some more insight from other players. And that's what we're all about.
Yes, not only are we aspirational players, but we are an aspirational podcast.
Yes. So, AJ, I just want to thank you again for being part of the show. I know we're a lot shorter on this episode, but I honestly think this is probably a good spot for us to kind of wrap it up, because I think getting into the next episode, we're going to start going over locations, because I think that's a topic you really wanted to get into, right?
Oh man, I'm ready to dig into it. I want to talk about all of them, what I love about them, what I hate about them, and I don't really think any of them should be nerfed, but maybe I should start thinking about that. That'd be something I'll put some thought into it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like what locations would I like to see change? I like it all so far, but I'm ready. I'm ready to bite into it.
Yes, no, definitely. So, thank you to all of our listeners. We really appreciate you guys joining in. Just remember, I'm Sterling, your co-host, and this was AJ. We really
Yep,
appreciate you guys. AJ, anything else you got to say?
that's it. We love y'all. Thank y'all for listening. Appreciate it.
All right. Peace, guys. Thank you.
Peace.